Welcome to IdeaSexx. And before we take this any further, I should preface this by saying this will probably have nothing to do with sex. IdeaSexx is when two ideas combine to make more ideas. It's that verbal dance, that sachet, that exchange of thoughts that sometimes results in an idea baby or a brainchild, whatever you want to call it. The catch is I'm going to be having it mostly with myself. But it wasn't as catchy to call the channel Idea Masturbation, so there you go. And that being said, it won't be a totally solo endeavor. There will be books and podcasts and quotes. I haven't totally figured this out. The concept is about as half-baked as I am, but the general premise is we're going to be looking at things as different as religion, psychology, art, science, technology, and where these things overlap. Because I firmly believe that through the process of comparing things, we can arrive at a truth, or at least our truth. For example, Joseph Campbell created the field of comparative mythology, which it's like comparative religion, but he compares myths and religions. And you might be wondering, well, what the fuck is the point of comparing Adonis to Osiris to Jesus Christ? And the short of it is, Campbell believed that what human beings have in common is revealed in our myths and the stories we tell. And for that reason, he believed that myths are clues to the spiritual potentialities of life. What? Okay, if it sounds a little woo-woo, if it sounds a little hokey, I hear you. I do. But this is the man that gave us the hero's journey. And that shit gave us Star Wars. So sit your ass down and I'm gonna whisk you back to high school English. You're just gonna have to deal with my stellar animation skills and the fact that I'm a unicorn now. It makes sense because we're talking about mythology. Campbell compared myths from all over the world and found that they basically boiled down to the same story. And he called this story the Monomyth, or the hero's journey. And whether you're looking at ancient Babylonian myths or Arthurian legends or the Harry Potter series, all our stories follow this pattern. This is what it looks like, and we'll just do a high-level overview. If it's interesting to you and you want to learn more, the book to check out is called Hero with 1,000 Faces. So the hero's journey is a cycle, and the cycle always starts in the status quo. This is the ordinary, familiar world. We'll use Star Wars as the example because George Lucas he just took the hero's journey and transposed a space opera on top of it and added like some sick CGI. So status quo would be Luke living with his aunt and uncle at the ranch. Did he live at a ranch? No, George Lucas lived on a ranch. Luke lived in like a hovel, whatever. Luke on Tatooine with his aunt and uncle. Stage 2 is the call to adventure, and that is when an invitation of some kind arrives for the hero. And this is R2 playing the hologram of Princess Leia, and she's like, "Help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope." 3 is the refusal of the call, and this is where the hero resists the invitation out of fear, out of a sense of inadequacy, out of duty or obligation. This is Luke refusing to go with Obi-Wan because he wants to stay with his family. And then there comes the supernatural aid or mentor figure that sort of encourages the hero. The mentor figure is Obi-Wan in this case, and the supernatural aid is the lightsaber that Obi-Wan gives Luke, that he inherits from his father. 5, crossing the threshold. That's the hero leaving the orderly world behind and venturing into the chaotic unknown. Sometimes this is by choice and sometimes it isn't. In Luke's case, it's his aunt and uncle dying. That is the catalyst for him going with Obi-Wan into this strange new world. And of course, this new world is filled with trials and tribulation. These are the little tests that prepare the hero for the epic battle at the end. So in Star Wars, it's Luke learning to be a Jedi. That's him, learning the lightsaber, learning how to use the Force, negotiating with Han Solo in the cantina. It's all of that. It's all of those little challenges, and those challenges increase. They get more intense until we arrive at the approach, and that's the hero approaching the great evil of the story. In Star Wars, this is when they're captured by the Death Star. And then comes the ordeal. And that's either some serious internal struggle or an encounter with the big bad or the Dark Father. Like I said, Lucas took this very literal approach. And actually, he called his villain Darth Vader, or Dark Father in German. 9 is the reward. By overcoming the ordeal, the hero claims some kind of reward. And that is followed by the road back, which is an effort to make it home safely. There's usually some kind of sacrifice made at this point. In this case, it was a human sacrifice. Obi-Wan sacrificed himself so Luke could escape back to the rebels. 11 is resurrection. That's the climax, when the hero faces the greatest danger and it's life and death stakes. They may die literally or spiritually, but the result of this battle is being reborn in some way. And that would be Luke blowing up the Death Star. And finally, we have return with the elixir. And that is the healing or peace that the hero brings back, usually to themselves, but often for other people. This structure, this journey, this pattern, this cycle is in every story, from our most ancient myths to whatever you're watching on Netflix to you and your story. And this is why the Monomyth is so cool. What Campbell may have stumbled on is a truth about how to navigate the human experience. Think about it. Think about any major triumph you've had in your life, and chances are you can map it to the hero's journey, because it is just this one big, grand metaphor for all of our journeys. It's this cycle of setbacks and obstacles and navigating the unknown in order to arrive at a higher, better place. And that is what Campbell was getting at. Each of us is on a quest to arrive at a higher, better place, and each of us is the hero of our own story. The hero's journey is really a metaphor for human potential, which is, I can sense myself wanting to go on a tangent, like 30 minutes in that direction. So backtracking a little, that has to be a video of its own, IdeaSexx for another day. Backtracking. Campbell is one of many examples of how you can compare things in order to arrive at some kind of truth. Granted, I don't think the brilliant Sarah Lawrence professor ever would have referred to his work as IdeaSexx, let alone interracial IdeaSexx, but that's just one of the many ways we're different. I'm also working with a fraction of his mental horsepower. Nothing is sacred here, and I'm not a specialist. I am a shameless generalist. So whereas a specialist would know a bit about a little, I have the reverse and totally useless skill of knowing a little about a lot. The one benefit of that is that I can connect things that don't necessarily seem related. Which out of context sounds like a definition for paranoia. I connect things that aren't related. You take my meaning, carry on. These little sessions will probably draw a lot on spirituality, personal growth, business, because that's what my existence currently revolves around. But there will be other things. There would be science and psychology and a metric fuck ton of other stuff. This idea channel baby has been on my mind for about a year, and I had no intention of launching it because I had other projects and ventures and, life. And then the coronavirus came, threw a wrench in everything, and I was like, well, this is one project I can move forward on. So here we are. My name is Kiara, by the way. I probably should have said that at some point, but to be honest, I'm not going to remember your name by tomorrow morning. I'm just here for the IdeaSexx. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And next time will be the first legitimate episode. I'm waffling on the subject. I've got a few ideas. Just have to pick one. But in the meantime, stay healthy, stay safe, and stay tuned. Because I firmly believe that the process of comparing things is what allows us to arrive at the truth. Or at least our truth. Fucking words, dude. They're so hard.